Hi everyone, my name is Melissa Shea with FashionMingle.net, and today we are interviewing fashion entrepreneur Dennis Clendennen, who's the co-owner of Deanna's Salon in Houston, Texas. Dennis is a veteran. He's worked at Fashion Week every season styling with the Aveda team at Mercedes-Benz, and so we're going to hear some more about that history, but also talk about what Dennis did, how he got his career started in styling, and what kind of advice he can offer to people who want to break into that industry. So Dennis, anything that they do. So the fact that you started out, on a traditional path with art, and then you actually just ended up turning, hairstyling into your own personal art. That's really a wonderful um, change in how you can use those creative skills.
That's fun.
So where did you actually get your training?
So my first school, I went to Ogle School of Hair Design in Arlington, in the Dallas-Fort Worth area, and then
have someone who thinks, I mean, you're obviously on the creative spectrum really far, and and you do have to have that balance. You need, if you're an entrepreneur, you need to have people in your life that counterbalance, what your talents are.
Yeah, and that's what made it work because we both have different perspectives, and she's a lot more logical and can think things
Yeah.
through and plan, and I'm the type of person that I'll just come up with something and she'll come out there and you go, what's going on? I say, oh, I changed everything. And she's like, what? She goes, you can't just do that. You have to do a study. You have to look at the cause and effects and reactions. And I'm like, well, if we don't like it, we'll just change it back or we'll do something different. So we kind of keep each other in check that way. Otherwise, it'd be total pandemonium if I ran the business.
Right. And you're still married. That's what's amazing.
I know every day I wake up and I go, oh, thank God she didn't put the pillow over my face when I was asleep.
Probably there's a lot of husbands that think that as well. So you've had such an exciting career going to Fashion Week. You've gone around the world teaching classes, and you're regularly featured in magazines. Let's talk about all of these exciting opportunities that you've had in your life. Of course, the thing that everybody's goal is to get to New York Fashion Week. So tell me, how did you get your first opportunity to style at Mercedes-Benz Fashion Week?
That was interesting when I was doing shows and teaching for Aveda, and then the artistic technical director that was in charge then, David Adams, he really wanted Aveda to get back into Fashion Week, and so he gave me a call one day and he goes, he had a British accent, which I'm not going to do, but he's like, there's this little thing in New York, I don't know if you've ever heard about it, but we're looking for some people that might be interested to do it, and it's called New York Fashion Week. And I was like, of course, jumping up and down, I'm all excited.
Okay, first of all, that's just freaking hilarious that it was a little thing in New York, but it was the 90s, right?
Yeah, and because that's when it was just really starting to getting close to its 10th year. So I think it was like the ninth
Right.
year there at Bryant Park, and so that's how it all got started. So we went and we did 5 shows, and I knew right then I was addicted because it's not what people think it is. Everybody thinks it's all glamorous and it's all
Yeah.
pretty, and everybody's like, "Oh, you're so amazing." What hairdressers and makeup artists don't realize, it's not about us. So we're actually an accessory to the show. So the hair is an accessory. It's not a hair show like a lot of people think about. It's We're actually there to do things, sometimes things that we don't even like, but it's something that the designer wants, and that's the vision and the story that we're telling. It's not about us. And I was okay with that. I love that because, actually, once you get into it and you start to know people, then it becomes more of a collaboration. Because when you first get there, it's just you do this, and you're like, "Oh, this is stupid." And then all of a sudden, and the more you learn, the more you know. And then I went from just helping out to actually getting to lead shows and do stuff. And when you're leading shows, that's when you get in on the whole telling the story and putting the story together. And then that's when it really got bad.
You could be on the
But
beach in the Cayman Islands.
it's a different world, and it's something I believe that if you really love, you have to love it. I mean, when I see people come in and do Fashion Week, I see a lot of people come in and it's their first season. They'll do one season or sometimes even one show and go, forget this. This is not for me. And then, but the people that I've worked with in all the years I've been doing it that still do it, all have a real passion and drive for it. They love the whole process of the pandemonium, the creativity, the insanity backstage. You have to thrive on that. You can't be a wilting flower. If somebody doesn't like what you did, you just have to make adjustments and move on, and that's how you succeed in that.
Right. So can you, like, what would be your top 3 tips for somebody who wants to become a stylist at Fashion Week? What would be like your top 3 tips that you could offer to the best things for them to make that opportunity happen?
Number one is know how to do hair. That's the biggest thing. A lot of people, especially here in the States, the difference I think between American hairdressers and European hairdressers, Australian hairdressers, Asian hairdressers, is American hairdressers a lot of times they get their license so quick, but they don't continue to learn and work on their basics. And so they don't constantly practice that. I constantly work on my basic hairdressing techniques because especially when we do Fashion Week, everything is based on basic techniques. And I see a lot of people when they first come, it's their first season, they are all thumbs because they come in and they're asked to do something. And the last time they really had to do it that way was when they were in beauty school, 7 years ago, 8 years ago, whatever. So the biggest thing is learn your basics and practice your basics. I practice all the time. So I have mannequins. I constantly practice doing basic things. And then once you understand that, then it's easy to do the creative things because you know how and why things are happening. So I think that's number one, and that's the biggest thing.
Okay.
And then 2 is you have to make those connections in order to put yourself in that position. So if you know someone, it's easy now with social media. So there's sites like Facebook, there's Instagram, there's a site called hairbrain.me, which is a site for hairdressers and makeup artists. And it's a great forum for people that are hairdressers or makeup artists that want to get into Fashion Week because you can make connections with people that are actually doing it. And a lot of times what we do is help those people to get in. And that's the biggest thing. You have to make those connections because, like I said earlier, nobody's going to come knocking on your door. You should be doing Fashion Week. It's not going to happen.
Yeah, that doesn't surprise me. Okay, and then any other tips, thirdly?
And then thirdly is, like you said earlier, plan on spending some money because it's nobody's going to pay your way. And a lot of times, like even when I'm doing Fashion Houston here, I have to recruit all these hairdressers, and they all say they want to do New York Fashion Week, and then the first thing some of them ask me, are we going to get paid? And I'm like, no, you're not going to get paid. This is and you go to New York, you're not going to get paid. Especially when you're first starting, you get to a point where you get paid, but it's not going to happen. So you have to be willing to make some sacrifices, especially to do something like New York Fashion Week. It's
well,
not.
I mean, it is the best education you can ever have. So, I mean, and in every industry, there's constantly got to be continuing education, and you've got to pay for that. So I think that's how people have to look at it, is when you have these opportunities, this is just furthering your education, and it is up to you to pay for it.
Exactly, because some of the most amazing things I've learned have been backstage at New York Fashion Week and having the opportunity to work with some of the most amazing hairdressers in the world, Odile Gilbert, Eugene Solomon, Frederic Fekkai, and Orlando Pita, and just goes on and on and on, all the hairdressers that I've really got to work with and share knowledge with, and you learn so much, and they're all so open. So it's a great way to interact and share information. So it's probably the most education I've got is from doing Fashion Week.
Excellent. I know when I've been backstage and because I spend a lot of time on the media risers doing photography or video, and so I'm always hoping for a fantastic hair design so that I can get some really great shots, and it's always so disappointing when it's just like it's a loose ponytail, you know, or something like that. Uh, I'm like, come on. But I mean, you know, you get that, okay, it's really about the clothes. We're trying to
Right.
sell the clothes. We're not trying to sell the hair. But, you know, as, you know, you want to see the show, you know. So has there been any particular designer that you've gotten to work for where it was just an amazing hairstyle that was really creative?
So some of the people that I've worked with have done some really creative stuff in the past. At Rodarte, I worked with them for probably close to 5 years, and we did some of the most crazy, bizarre, interesting, off the wall hair, and that was working with Odile from she's the French hairdresser, Odile Gibert, and the hair that we did for that was we'd be at the test, you know, with Kate and Laura, the sisters, and the stuff that we would come up with would just be like, wow, can't believe we're doing this. And then you do, like you said earlier, you go from that show, and then you're doing a ponytail, you know, the show after that. And then also Philip Lim, we did some great hair with Philip Lim several times, and then some of the other people, I can't remember their names because there's been so many. But most of the time, like you said, you do a lot of ponytails. You do a lot of, I want it to look like, you know, she went out to a party last night and this is the hair she woke up with.
Oh man,
It's,
that's funny.
yeah, but then, you know, a lot of times that's the hardest hair to do because they want it messed up in a very specific way. And so it can't just be messed up. It has to be messed up, you know, in this exact way. So
Right. A way that, like, in no way on earth would she ever wake up looking that way.
exactly. But
Even though
but
that's what they wanted.
uh, but it has to be done. So it has to be, you know, it's my favorite term is don't make it hairdressery, but let's make it as complicated as possible to do. But to
Oh,
make
I love that. That's
yeah.
fantastic. So that's what the designers tell you. Don't make it
Oh yeah.
hairdressery.
Oh yeah. Don't make it look like a hairdresser did it, but I will have all these rules. You know, I want one hair coming out over here, and I want this to be just a little ribbony falling off the back of the ponytail. It looks like it's falling out. And then you'll spend 20 minutes playing with this messy ponytail, trying to get the exact messiness that they want, and then trying to get, you know, 30 other hairdressers to do the exact same thing is
Oh
always
my
highly
gosh.
entertaining backstage.
Yeah, and there's such a time constraint. I mean, it's so hectic out there, and oh man, that has got to feel like. I mean, did you ever experience like total panic that you guys weren't going to be able to get everybody ready in time, or does it always seem to work out?
It always works out in the end, but there's a lot of times where, you know, you feel like you should be having a major IBS flare up any second now because it's so insane back there. There was one show, I actually wasn't scheduled to work the show, but it was a friend of mine was leading the show. I'm not going to say his name or the designer's name, but it was like the biggest nightmare ever. And so anyway, I was up there and I was actually at a photo shoot with Eugene Solomon. He was shooting for Elle magazine. And so we're at the piers over there up the West Highway. My phone just keeps buzzing. I go, no, God, I don't want to answer it. It's going to be bad. You know, just is my only day that I really don't have anything to do. I just want to hang out. So it kept buzzing, buzzing, buzzing. So finally I pick it up. It's my friend. And he's like, I need your help at Bryant Park right now. And I go, I don't have my tools. He says, don't worry about it. I'll give you tools. He says, I've got all new people with me on this show, and it's pandemonium. I know you can do what needs to be done to make this happen. All right, I'll be there. So I get in a cab, I get there, and he gets me on the list, pulls me in. So we get in there, we start doing his hair. And so the designer is there, and then she has this stylist for the show. The stylist puts the show together, what the look is, what the feel is, what the music is, all this stuff. So she's walking around, and she looks like she's in all black, you know, with these black boots up to her knees, all shiny. She looks like a little Nazi. And she has her two little minions that are following her around. All they do is carry her Starbucks, and one has her Starbucks and one has her bottle of water. And essentially they just nod and smile for her. And so anyway, he goes, oh, I need to start doing this. So he has me putting in his extensions and doing all this crazy stuff. I look out the corner of my eye and I see that something's going on. I see the stylist speaking with the lead hairdresser, my friend. And I just tell everybody around me, stop what you're doing. And they go, why? We have to get done. I said, trust me, stop. I've seen this before, stop. Everything's about to change. They're like, no way. And I said, trust me. And then 5 minutes later, he goes, stop what you're doing. Take everything down. We're doing something totally different. So now I'll start doing, this is like a little over an hour into the show prep. Then it's like, okay, now we're just going to curl the hair and do this with the look. So we start curling. Then all of a sudden I see the stylist, the designer, and then my friend, he's not even in the conversation anymore. They're literally swearing at each other
Oh
in
my
each other's
gosh.
space. I'm like, I tell everybody around me, stop, stop. Everything's about to change. And since I got there late, my station I was working at is right by where they go in to change. So right in the tents, right where they go in to change. And so anyway, the stylist comes up to me all of a sudden. I'm like, oh no, here we go. So she gets in right on my back, and I turn around. She's right in my face like this, and she goes, "Can you do a effing ponytail?" But she didn't say effing. She was just full on, with the spit coming off in my face, and I was like, "Yeah, I can do it." So she goes, "Do one." So I did it. She goes, "There was, I think, 34 models." She goes, "I want you to do all the models." I'm like, "There's no way I can do 34 models in less than an hour." And so anyway, the whole show came off, and it was like a total nightmare. But that was probably the worst Fashion Week experience. I
That
read
sounds
time about that.
crazy.
Someday I'll write a book and I'll give you the names, but
Yeah, the tell-all. I'm looking forward to that. That sounds great.
there's some good stuff from backstage.
I bet. Yeah, yeah. You're gonna have to really make a plan to do that. Questions of a Fashion Week hairstylist.
Yeah.
Well, you've also had really great opportunities to travel overseas and teach. What are some of the countries that you've been to?
So I've been to, I think, 31 states in the U.S., in Canada, and then I went to Asia, went to Korea. I led shows for Seoul Fashion Week in Korea one year. Been to Australia, and of course been to London and did stuff there. And it's all great. It's probably my favorite place was Australia, though. It's somewhere I've always wanted to go. And then once I got there, it happened to be over Easter, so I was gone for 30-something days. So I actually had a little over a week off that I actually got to do stuff, which is rare. Usually I travel all over the place, and it's like a military operation. You get in, you go straight to work, you do your show, teach your class, and then you get on a plane and you fly right back. And then you get back and you don't know where you are, who you are, and you're totally disoriented. So Australia was cool, and Korea was very interesting. So.
I bet. So tell us a little bit about like what the teaching gigs were like, how you got those opportunities, and what you actually did.
So the teaching was all through Aveda. So that was when I was one of the educators for Aveda. And so when I would go in and teach, what I do is I'd get a format of what they wanted me to teach. Then I'd have to put the class together. Then I show up and then actually go in, do demos, teach the class, talk to them, try to tell jokes, whatever, make it fun, and then actually do the hands-on with the students. So I would supervise them and then try to, but my biggest deal when I was teaching, and still when I teach now, is I try to make them be the biggest part of the learning. So I try to be the smallest part and make them have the aha moments, I let people struggle. Because a lot of times what I think people do, the people that I learned the most from are the people that challenge me to do something out of my comfort zone. And so I really try to make people challenge themselves, but do it in a fun way. And so it's not stressful. So that was the biggest thing. So the hardest thing was in Korea doing that, because humor doesn't translate. And so I would start off, the first day I was there, I started off with like this joke, and the translator translates the joke. And it's like, and everybody's sitting there like, like, wow. And then she comes back to me and she goes, the humor does not translate. And so, okay. So I had to find different ways to by the end of it, I figured out the rhythm and how to get them involved and get them to laugh and smile. But I had to totally rethink how I present it, because I'm not presenting to people that speak English anymore. So it was very interesting. So that was probably, I think that also taught me a lot more about how I was teaching and changed the way I teach, because not only did I have to teach a different mindset, but I also had to get it to translate into a different language. So I had to learn to demonstrate things differently, how to communicate differently. So I think it really helped me as an educator to really see and look at things differently and have different perspectives of how to learn.
Mm-hmm. Well, you mentioned earlier that there's a difference between the American hairstylists and the European hairstylists, and it seemed like American hairstylists don't spend as much time on getting their education. What were some of the other differences that you've seen, with the industry in Europe or Asia as compared to the industry in the United States?
Well, I think in different countries they really work on it as a craft and really learning their craft and knowing how to do what they do. And I think here, I think it's American way sometimes is we want to take shortcuts. And I think what they really tend to do is they really take what they do seriously. And like I think industry average here is like 1 in 5 people that go to cosmetology school will actually end up doing hair within 3 years. And
1 in 5 people that
one
go
in five, so like 20%, yeah.
really?
Yeah.
Wow, that's surprising to me.
Yeah, but I think it's because they don't take it as seriously. Whereas I think in Europe and Asia, they really take it. This is what I'm going to be doing. This is my future. I'm learning how to do what I'm going to do to support my family, to pay my bills, and they take it as this. It's a serious thing. They want to learn it as a craft. They want to be the best they can be at it, and I think that's the big thing, and that's what I really try to get across to people when I'm sharing with people and teaching people. Take it seriously. And it's not something minor. It's like, 'cause like I said earlier with my first haircut, what we do with people and their clients, it changes their life. You can take someone that's having a really bad day, they come in and get a great hairstyle or a great color, whatever they're getting. You have a big impact on their life. So what we do is not a light thing. It's not a little thing. It's a huge thing. Because if you get a bad haircut, you're going to be upset until it gets fixed or it grows out.
Absolutely. I feel so lucky because I'm one of these people that have spent my entire life looking for a hairstylist that gets my hair, and I finally found one about 2 years ago, and I just like worship her, because it's like she knows, because everybody's hair is so unique and has its own challenges, and it's really important when you get the right hairstylist. They do change your life.
Yeah, it's so huge. Like the big thing you said is they know you, and so what I try to do with people is really take the time to show them. I'm not just looking at them as I'm going to give you a number 1 or a number 2 or a number 3 or the friends cut or whatever they want, because that's so generic. What I always try to do with the person that sits in my chair is I always spin them around in the chair and I show them their head and their haircut from 360 degrees. I never ask them what they want, because 99% of the time they don't know what they want. They're coming in to a new hairdresser because they're looking for someone that can give them something. And so I always take them time to show them what's working, what could work better. And then once I've done that, and then I tell them based on what's going on, this is what you need. And then what I find that is 99% of the time they go, okay, let's do it. And if they do have, an idea in their head, they'll show me their idea. And then I'll show them the same thing. I'll show them their hair again. This is what you can do based on that, and this is what will work, and this is what you'll have to make adjustments for. But it's all about having the knowledge and education and the technical skills to be able to give them that information, because if you don't understand it, everything from their head shape to their density of hair, their texture of hair, their face shape, all of that, you have to understand that, and that's hard to get people to understand, and if they don't work on it.
Right, and one time I brought in a picture to my stylist, and like, I really like her hair, how can I get it to look that way? It was like a celebrity, and she was like, well, she probably has a stylist walking right behind her in that, on the red carpet, fixing her hair every 5 minutes. So it's like, okay, I obviously can't have that look. Don't have
it is fascinating though to see people that bring in pictures. And I think one of the things I've really learned doing a lot of photo shoots is you learn a lot of how things are set up just for that one shot. It's not real. It's not meant to be real, but it's to create that feeling, that emotion, tell that story, and it's not real. Like there's a lot of shots that I've done. The shot was meant to last 30 seconds, but I'll have people look through my portfolio thing, and they'll come in and go, I want that hairstyle, and I go, it's not real. There's no way you can do this.
That's
And so,
interesting.
yeah.
So you've actually had a lot of magazine work. You've done fashion shoots on covers, editorial, and so forth. Um, let's talk about what kind of things that you've done. But like, tell us, how did you get that first opportunity to get your hairstyle featured in a magazine?
Well, my first time really in a magazine was actually Aveda again. I actually did a collection for Aveda, so I cut a collection for them, and that ended up not only being in Aveda's publications, but several different magazines around the world started picking that up. So that's how I got my first look in my book. And then once you start doing that, then it's easier to start making those connections because now you have something to base why you should be shooting for these different people. So it's all about creating that book. So like you're saying, if people want to get started, how to get into it is, again, make those connections, find somebody to work with, whether it's a photographer, whether it's another hairdresser, a makeup artist, make those connections to start doing those shoots, even if it's just helping out at shoots to start off with. But then people start to recognize, they get to know you, and then you start learning, again, the craft of how to do a photo shoot. Because it's a lot different than doing everyday hair. You just don't go in and do what you're going to do on a client. It's totally different
So when you're
experience.
doing the magazine shoots, your goal is to use those as opportunities to build your lookbook.
Correct.
That's what you're doing. Okay. And then, so obviously, a lot of that's going to be unpaid. At some point, do you get paid?
Advertising. Whenever I do like stuff for ads, that's when I'll get paid. And
Okay.
then
So,
and then
like, if it's an
also
editorial shoot for a magazine, you don't expect to get paid. But if you're doing, but you use that opportunity to get jobs doing the hair for an ad campaign for a company that is going to pay you. Is that how it works?
correct. That's how it works. And so it's like anything. You have to have a resume before somebody's going to pay you to do something for money, especially because it's not like you're building a client in a salon. It's a totally different world. And because it's so diverse and so different, and people are looking for so many different things, that's why you have to have that book. So you have to have something they can look at and go, oh, I like what this person does. I see that they can create the feel, the look that I want for whatever I'm shooting, whether it's jewelry or a car or makeup, whatever they're doing. So that's how they end up booking you for things like ads and video stuff or whatever it is for website things.
Okay. So, well, it sounds like you've got to do so many amazing things in your career. I mean, do you have like do you have visions of like where you see your business going, like in the next 5 years? What you would like to accomplish next?
Right now, my biggest thing is I really want to help like the people that work for me to do the things that I get to do. And so I'm really working with them. I'm really learning the craft of how to do hair, but also I have them helping me out a lot of times at photo shoots and shows and things like that. So I'm really trying to give back and help them grow because I won't live forever, but I want to help keep it going,
That's awesome.
keep the inspiration going and inspire people to do things that I didn't do. Because we're not reinventing the wheel, but I want to inspire people to keep making the wheel run better or do different things with the wheel. So keep evolving the industry, and that's how you do it. And it's by sharing and not being afraid to share. I always hear all these hairdressers, they won't tell you what they're doing because they don't want you to steal their secrets. But I believe in I share everything because if I share what I know and then they take what I gave them and they do something entirely different from it, and I go, wow, that's cool. How'd you do that? And then I continue to learn and I continue to grow. And I think that's how you really get everything going. So that's the biggest thing I really enjoy right now is inspiring people and training with people and sharing with people to get them to do things.
Well, that's wonderful. I'm so excited that we got a chance to talk to you about all of this. I mean, you've provided a lot of great tips and inspiration for people looking to get into this industry. So we really appreciate. I mean, good luck with the next Fashion Week coming up in February, and hopefully I'll see you there. I'm sure we've crossed paths, but I try to stay everybody's way in the hairstyling section.
Oh, be like everybody else. Just bump into us when we have curling irons. It's no problem.
Oh my gosh, I try so hard to stay out of the way. I have the last couple of seasons, I've been on video, and it's just been like it's such a challenge because you guys are moving so fast, and to act, and then everybody's in the way, and there's like 4 or 5 people working on one girl, and you've got to get your camera in there. Yeah, it's what I do is hard, but I know what you guys are doing is much harder. So, well, thank you so much, Dennis, for your time, and really excited to get all this great information from you. And I want to thank everybody for watching this video, and join us over at fashionmingle.net to see more of our Fashion Entrepreneur series.
Thank you, Melissa.